Hi folks, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Nick and it's one of those groundbreaking moments, yes, believe it or not, on the channel we've now reviewed 1,000 games, probably more now that you read in this. So let's have a recap then. We've finally done it. The channel will keep going on. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Here we go then. So here's a recap of games reviewed on the channel, ZX Spectrum, 951 through to 1,000. And we start with this wholesome game, Go to Hell. It's rather macabre. You control this stickman sort of character, and he must go around collecting keys, I think, or crosses in order to escape. It's a sort of game that you think, what parents would have bought their kids this? It's stuff of nightmares. Worse was to come. This does have a sequel, which we will just follow, but has to be seen to be believed, this one. Scary imagery, nightmare casting. Yes, kids would have loved the thing, parents would have hated it, no doubt. And now we have first homebrew. This is White Jaguar, a platformer where you control this Red Indian or Native American, unless I get done there. It's got good music, it's got good colour. You can get this from Spectrum Computing if you want to download that. There's loads and loads of great homebrews coming out continuously, and this one is a bit special. I didn't find it as easy as some of the other ones, but great care has been taken with the creation of this one. Good level design, good problem solving skills. You won't be completing this on your first go, but look at the detail. P47, Thunderbolt, it's a horizontal shooter, I think based on an arcade coin-up. Also come out on the Commodore Amiga, which you've also reviewed. It's easier than a lot of horizontal shooters to begin with, but it's got some crazy end-level bosses, which they need a hell of a shooting. There's power-ups in here, and you know, you might not have heard about this one. It scrolls okay there, as you can see. Different colours on each stage, which was great to see the Spectrum do. Not bad. Soft and Cuddly, the sequel to that Go to Hell, and this time it's got even worse. The imagery is even darker and scarier than before. Really large graphics put together there to fight. Look at that thing there. If you like the original, you'd like this. The character is a lot bigger this time in this sequel. So Soft and Cuddly, yes, it isn't Soft and Cuddly, it's a play on words there. Didn't have a third game, God knows what they would have come up with then. I don't know how these games weren't banned, but I liked it. Extruder, as a homebrew there. Basically you control this jester down the bottom, and by taking bubbles and putting them back in order, you can cause them to disappear. A checkerboard design, the bubbles gradually come down the screen, and as you can guess, if it fills up, that's the end of the game. So it's nice and gentle. It's a good stress buster, this one, so if you want a break from racing games or action games, then this one isn't a bad one to have. It's in the genre of Tetris, I suppose. Executor, it's a shooter by the same people that brought you Master Blaster, which originally was a cover tape. This plays in virtually the same way, although the graphics are a bit different. It's a little bit tricky to get hold of initially, but you know, there's power-ups there too. I played it with a Pokemon because I was hopeless. It's a good vertical shooter. I like the stars in the background there, and there's a lot of colour involved in this game. It's one of the better ones aesthetically, if that is a word, is it? Maybe. I maybe got that wrong. There's no script here, folks. HYPERBOWL. Basically, it's you against a computer or opponent. You're on a pitch, and you must knock the ball down goal, down the opposite end. You get bonus points if it goes to the actual goal mouth, and single points if you goes just over the line. There's different crafts to control, to choose from, which varies on the inertia and how hard you hit the ball. It takes a bit of practice, this game. You might not be good first of all, but it's an interesting one, original. Blade Warrior, some fantastic speech in this game, although it's very, very tricky to play. The character's got very, very large feet, wander around, try and complete stuff. It's like yellow, white and cyan most of the game, but the special bit for this really is the speech all the way through. You've got to collect objects, and yeah, well done it says, and I think it might say rest in peace, or is it rest in peas, garden peas? Let's listen. Rest in peace. Yeah, it might have been peace. Legend of KAGE. This is a fairly interesting one over several levels. It's doable, this. Basically, the princess has been kidnapped while you was walking in the woods, and you must rescue her by shooting numerous goons that come at you over, I think, about 3 or 4 stages. It's interesting. This guy is the end of level boss. He's quite easy to destroy. It looks a bit like a character from the kids' cartoon Bod. But yeah, you can have a bit of fun with this game, Legend of KAGE. Musnam Pack, I don't think this game was ever completed. It's a homebrew again, but it's got great sound on the thing. It's a remake of Mus Pac-Man from the arcades with better sound. Now, Mus Pac-Man on the original Spectrum by TerRor-Soft wasn't too bad. I quite liked that. But this one's got no storyline involved. I think if the writers had more time, they would have done it, but it feels like a project that was given up on at some stage. Mazes don't vary, but you know, it's pretty good. A Pac-Man clone, or Mus Pac-Man. Bobsleigh, now this does take a bit of getting used to. Basically, you compete in different competitions with your bobsleigh team, trying to get quicker and quicker times. You control the run up there by hitting the keys to get your speed, and then it's left and right all the way down. Take a bit of curve, but don't flip over, and remember to brake when you get to the end. Great polygon graphics here, reminds me a little bit of the skills of Stunt Car Racer, so it's been really well coded. I don't think a lot of people would have seen this game, but I think it was rather special. Transformers, based on the kids' cartoon and the toy series, I think by Hasbro, Robots in Disguise. This game really isn't that much. I really expected a better game from a title like Transformers, but it would have sold just because of the name. You control, I think, about 4 or 5 different of the robots, and you can transform and collect different items to try and save the day against the Decepticons. Instantly forgettable, but you know, it's Transformers. Chip Rescue, now this is a good game as well, another really cool homebrew. I think it might have been created with AGD, as a lot of them were. It's got good music playing. You control this rather rotund character, reminds me a little bit like Joe Blade from the Commodore Amiga. Again, jump over robots, collect keys, open doors and save the day, but you've got to collect all parts of this ROM chip you can see in the bottom middle. It's a little bit of a challenge, but it's put together well. Starts off gentle and gradually gets more difficult as you go along. Friday the 13th, based on the film, of course, where Jason Voorhees is running amok. You must collect, rescue all the campers, collect a cross to try and get them to go there. If Jason Voorhees kills everyone, that's the end of the game, but you must essentially pick up a weapon and club him to death before it destroys all your fellow campers. No music in this one. It's interesting, but you know, what can you do? Moonshade, this is like a poor man's Nose of YOYO'S for me. The character is a lot bigger than that from Nose of YOYO'S, that famous game. It's another item collecting and exploration game. It's a little bit dull. There's like a farty sort of noise when the enemies go over you and your energy gradually goes down. Not very exciting. I can't think of too many times I would have gone back to this, but it's got rather large graphics, might have fooled a few people from the screen shots. YOYO'S Great Adventure, much in the style of the Dizzy games. This is a homebrew. It's been well put together again. Graphics are exceptional on this. The sort of game you'd do really well, get the most out of it with a guide to work out what's going on. But yeah, hats off to this one. A lot of effort has been put in to make it as good as it is. It isn't Dizzy, it's someone very similar. It's Yo-Yo. Is he an egg? I do not know. The jury is out on that one. He has his ups and downs as Yo-Yo. Robotron 2084 based on the game from the arcades. I don't think this was released back in the day. I think it then got completed. Really good game, although the only problem with it though, it sort of like slows down considerably the more things that are on the screen. But if you're looking for an arcade sort of like a equivalent, you can't go too wrong with this one. I don't think you're going to find too many better ones on the Spectrum. This might be the best one. Similar sort of game to Smash TV, I suppose. And look at that, you can always see it slowing down quite a lot already. HYPERBALL, not to get confused with HYPERBOWL we looked at earlier on. It's a sports game, you against the computer. You've got to fire that ball into that middle thing, going up and down. You can take rebounds, just score the most. Don't give away penalties, and you commit penalties by holding on to the ball too long. So you've got to keep getting rid of the thing. There is a way of winning, but it's only ever 2 teams. There's no league or cup. It's just you against the others, really. You can't change the name of the teams. It's okay. It does well. You could say it's a 4-barrel to games like Speedball 2. Jet Set Willy Lord of the Rings. It's another mod. based on the original Jet Set Willy, of course. Lord of the Rings, good subject matter. Already reviewed The Hobbit. This one is more exploration, really. Each of the rooms is based on a chapter title from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There's 2 modes on this, medium and difficult. If you have difficult, then of course there's a lot more stuff walking up and back to kill you. So if you like Jet Set Willy and want more of a challenge, this isn't a bad one, but there's lots and lots and lots of mods about. Defenders of the Earth, based on the cartoon, I think. Flash Gordon is the leader of this one. You're just running about, going through doors to try and defeat Ming the Merciless. He kidnapped someone, probably. But yeah, it moves quite fast. It's very, very difficult. I prefer this version to the Commodore Amiga version, and that sometimes happened in 8-bit gaming. If you like any of these clip-its, please check the original reviews. They're all in the ZX Spectrum playlist on the channel via the playlist tab. Much, much appreciated. Robin of the Wood, this was a classic game. I always play these games as a newbie, so I didn't quite know what I was doing, but I was running around bashing people on the head, much like I would have played the game back in the day. It's a lot of fun, similar games like Sabre Wolf, I suppose, but basically you're trying to find the silver arrow in this quest. You're playing Robin Hood. You've got to get arrows, quivers, but basically get the silver arrow. And you see the Sheriff and Nottingham's men are all over the place to try and ruin the day. Always do a homebrew on a Wednesday. This is another really, really good one. It's like flip screen, but the screen scrolls when you get to the next bit. Basically, you need to find a spacesuit you can get outside. There's a map you can bring up as well. Another object collecting game. And we've been really, really spoiled for quality homebrews recently. Keep up with the channel. Look at that animation on the water there below. This come out back in the day, like a lot of them. It would have been a massive, massive, massive hit. So yes, ZOIDS. This game rather confused me. The battle begins based on a kids' toy series, which was to rival Transformers. And just like the Transformers game, this game didn't really hit with me. It's not really one for the newbie, I don't think. It's one for strategists that need to read the instructions over and over again. But that's what I don't do on this channel. It's all about having fun and a laugh, defeating stress, and seeing what the game plays like on your first or second go would have been enough to play it again. I don't think there was enough here to grab me to want to play it again, but I thought the toys were quite cool. Where Time Stood Still, an isometric adventure game. You crash landed on some strange land where dinosaurs are about, and you must lead your party to safety by picking up items and making sure they don't starve to death. It's easier said than done. I was wandering around like a nincompoop, like I quite often do with these games. But anyway, I rescued no one, but I could see the game was good. Very similar to The Great Escape, really, in the colour and palette and the way it runs there. Where Time Stood Still, Beethoven's Revenge, homebrew time. Rather large sprite you're controlling on this, but you must go around this map, avoiding enemies and collecting all instruments represented by different items, including this Beethoven's ear, in order to complete your symphony that wasn't finished back in the day. Good old Beethoven, ba-ba-ba-bum, ba-ba-ba-bum. You don't die when you hit an enemy, you just lose a bit of gradual strength, and I prefer that sort of system. You see there's a few instruments there and some padlocks to unlock. Blood Valley, based on sort of like some adventure textbooks like Choose Your Own Adventure. We go backward and forward. You can select any one of 3 or 4 characters, but the gameplay is roughly the same. It jumps about a bit. If you can get far enough, you've got some choices like you would have if you was reading the book, collecting gold and stamina. But the idea of this game is to escape the Blood Valley without getting killed at all. No, not even once. Don't get killed once, because that would be a game over. Blood Valley. Good title, good music all the way through. Blazing Thunder. It's a run and gun game, basically in a tank. Game plays very differently on the Commodore Amiga and the Commodore 64, which we played it on, but this one is okay. It's quite good fun. Don't get me wrong, I prefer Commando, but this is okay as well. It's not using a great deal of the screen, it has to be said. The Amiga version had some sort of Rambo character in the middle of the tank, and he looked like he was wearing it like a dress. This isn't quite as bad as that, but there is quite a bit of fun that can be had without being a stellar game. Biscuits in Hell. Now this game is extremely difficult. You control this character in this mighty homebrew and you just collect all the biscuits without getting clobbered by anything. If you complete one level, then it's onto a more elaborate biscuit, and I think here we start off with digestive or rich tea. There's chocolate bourbons and a whole variety of stuff. So if you're into biscuits and being frustrated a lot, then this game is for you. Going up and down, avoiding everything. Not quite as difficult as Jumping Jack back in the day, but it's of that sort of idea. BATTLEZONE, a 3D vector tank combat game based on that game from the arcades. There's quite a few versions of this which we'll come to later on, but basically you're driving around this mysterious land, shooting tanks and your foes and enemies, and trying not to get boxed yourself. You've got a radar in the top middle letting you know where the enemy are. It moves really well, this, for the 48K ZX Spectrum. This is highly recommended for me. If you wanted a version of BATTLEZONE, this official one by Quicksilver is definitely the one to have. By fair means foul, it got released by Codemasters on the Amiga as professional boxing simulator. It's very annoying, this game, only because the enemy's energy bar goes back up again. The idea of this game is when the referee's not looking is to do foul punches like below the belt and kicks and stuff, and maybe headbutts to try and get an advantage. I prefer, although it's more basic in animation, I prefer Barry McGuigan's boxing, but you know, you might want to persist with this one by fair means or foul. Monty Mole and the Temple of Lost Souls. This is a homebrew of one of the Monty Mole games, and what's the main boon of this is it plays the Indiana Jones music throughout the way through. It's created with AGD, so it's not the original engine that Monty Mole was created with the classic games back in the day, which there's quite a few games which we've reviewed, but quite special, quite to do. You don't have to really understand Monty Mole to be any good at this one. Explore, find the artifacts, and escape the temple. TERROR-DAKTIL 4D. Classic game back in the day that not many people would have seen, but basically we're trapped in this land again, firing these blocks to try and destroy those Space Invader things up the end there, but all the same time trying to avoid these massive pterodactyls that come down, and we get points for shooting them if we get the right elevation. This is the thing that kids would have spoke about in the playground, this massive bird coming down to try and kill them, and kids' imagination will go a long way with these style of games. Motor Massacre, a game sort of like in two parts of gameplay. I don't know why they chose red on white, that does my eyes in completely, but it's an apocalyptic world. There's been World War III. You're driving around collecting fuel and stuff, and then you go in certain buildings, you can collect different objects, but essentially you need to get to a main city to destroy the Kingpin who's trying to take over the world after this nuclear war has actually happened. It's a bit of a mismatch really. It looks like two games glued together. It's okay without being spectacular. AZTEC, a homebrew. It's like Tetris based, but essentially you need to get a block of 4 in a row. You can see there's a line going horizontally down, that's like a laser. Once that touches the block of its complete, it will absolutely vanish. Here you go, biff biff. Yeah, totem poles go down either side. Sometimes they favour more green ones to yellow ones. If your totem pole goes completely down, you're doomed. But a rather passive puzzle game. Moves quite slowly if you want a bit of a de-stress. Escape from KRAKATOA. KRAKATOA is erupting and we must take our helicopter and rescue people. Now don't keep sinking this tanker boat, which I kept doing, and then losing the day. I couldn't work out what was going on. But essentially you go down the map, lower yourself, pick up inhabitants and then take them away. Don't run out of fuel. I got terribly confused in the review what to do, but it's because I kept sinking the good guys. Shouldn't have done that. Embassy Assault, a very early 3D game, and going around a maze. It takes ages to draw, but it's back in 1982, so I wouldn't have minded it. Essentially, you go into this very colourful embassy, you must find the code room, and then escape to the first place you started off again, and the time is ticking up. The quicker you go, you write that down, and then compare it to a friend if they got the game, or you lose it or forget about the whole thing. Embassy Assault, interesting early maze game. Retro Invaders. Based on, I think, a similar game from the arcades. But anyway, aliens are coming through these warp holes there to try and attack the Earth. We've got our ship, we've got to try and take care of all of them. Got to shoot a minimum number to get to the next stage, and eventually there's an ender level boss, which you can see here, represented by a different colour planet or warp gate. Retro Invaders, and we're getting retro here. Good music, I really like this game. Pretty special, I'd say. You can get it for free at Spectrum Computing if you still can. I think that's what I did. GUNRUNNER, or horizontal scroller shooter, a little bit difficult but good animation there. We're helping out some aliens by running through plutonium pipework. They seem to be attacking our mates. They're very monochrome. It's all about learning when things are coming at you and like ducking at the right time. You need the skills of Neo from the Matrix sometimes in swerving around, but it's there to be perfected. There's 3 slot power up, jetpack poison, and a shield. Not a bad little game. Hades Nebula, vertical scrolling shooter, which starts off pretty slow, but look at the amount of stuff it's having to draw and move. Scrolling is impeccable. Ship is a little bit big, but would have looked fantastic from the screenshots. And if you can get past stage 1, then there's less for the computer to draw, and it does speed up a little bit because you seem to be more in space. But it's not a bad little game. It doesn't have the plaudits of games like Swiv or any of those. There we go. Tiki Taka. Yes, this is based, you might be able to tell from the sounds, on Attic Attack. It tries to create that maze and style, but brings it into 3D. It's recently been surpassed by the brilliant Melchior's Mansion for the PC, which we've also reviewed. To check out that review, I think they're working on a Spectrum Next and 128K version as well, so it'll be interesting to compare it to this. But this has been done really well. Lots of love and care involved. I think the map is virtually the same, and the challenge is the same as well. You haven't got the graphics when you go down the trapdoor. This is 3D Tank Duel, and you know, it's okay. Battlezone we've already looked at in this review. Good explosions when you destroy the enemy. What this one has done, which Battlezone hasn't got, it's got a bigger radar dish, and the sky and the land are divided up into different colours. Rather great horizon there. It's probably my second favourite Battlezone, but it's close between the two. So if you didn't like those green vectors, you want something maybe a little bit more realistic, this is 3D Tank Duel. It plays good, and all the different enemies are there. Darkman, based on the film starring Liam Nielsen, very colourful again, great for the era. The moves are a little bit tricky to perfect here, and you will just keep doing the same move, but it's done really well. It's good for the era. 128k this one, so if you like beat 'em ups, this is a nice one. If you're a fan of the films, it'll be a great addition for you to have in your collection. It's the Dark Man. It's not Light Man, it's not Bartman, it's the Dark Man. The Lost Island. Now, I found this game very, very annoying. It's another homebrew. I generally like all homebrews, but I think there's too much stuff that can kill you, and the controls are a bit fiddly going up and down the ropes. I don't swear on these reviews, but this one sort of like seriously tempted me. Yeah, it needed to be a little bit easier. I fall off ropes a lot, and I get stuck on enemies and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, you're trying to rescue the professor in this one, who's discovered this lost island and has suddenly gone missing. And I think you're one of your students. I would have let him stay missing, to be honest. Sabotage. This is another game based into like 2 parts. One is a horizontal tank shooter, and then it goes into some sort of Jet Set Willy stroke Manic Miner thing, where once finding the base, you must find dynamite and leave it on pads, and then to detonate that to then destroy the enemy. It's very Manic Miner, that, almost as if they've stolen the code. Look at the legs, that might even be more or less the same body, and some of these enemies look very similar as well. That red thing looks like the blue thing from Newman Looney in Jet Set Willy. Yabba Dabba Doo, my second favourite Flintstones game on the Spectrum, because they're both not really that good. And in this one, basically, Fred has to build his house to attract the lovely Wilma, so they eventually get married. So basically, walk around throwing stones about the place. First of all, you've got to clear the area. It's a little bit laborious, but if you're into the Flintstones back in the day, this is the better one of the two, because on the other game, it was like Fred painting a fence or his house or something, and that was extremely boring. This isn't that more exciting. Frogger 50. This is a mod from the original typing game called Spectrum Cross, I think from Crash magazine. It's been enhanced a little bit. Essentially, the frog can swim now, but you know Frogger, don't you? You need to go across this road there, and on the water, avoid the spider, although frogs can eat spiders. On the water, you just swim around all the stuff without rather jumping on them. Frogger 50. It plays a great tune, Cars, by Gary Newman, on the title screen, and that's the main reason to download it. Stop the Express, a classic game back in the day, which I'm absolutely hopeless at. The train's been sabotaged, and controlling this guy with the big yellow hair, you must get to the opening carriage, the engine, and stop it. There's hoodlums chasing you across the carriage. It's all about timing this in your jumps and avoiding getting shot. If you collect a bird, you can fire that at the enemy to hopefully stop them. At some point, you need to drop down into the carriages, and there was me on the rail tracks, dead. Predator 2, it's a rail shooter where you control Danny Glover's character from the film, basically trying to shoot everything. Come very late in the ZX Spectrum's run, so maybe didn't deserve the success it had done. Look at the scrolling, the pavement scrolling quicker than the building behind it, which is a bit of a flaw. But anyway, it's an okay, in the style of Operation Wolf. Yeah, the Predator could be in it a bit more, but the same could be said for the actual film also. But it does what it says on the tin. Predator 2, a rail shooter. Is he on a skateboard? I don't know. Bomb Bomb Buster, a puzzle platformer game, another homebrew. Great music, like a lot of these have. Basically, collect the firepower, then destroy all the other stuff, including the main bomb. Gets more and more technical each time, trying to work out how to shoot everything. The timer doesn't actually start until you collect the green bomber mechanism, and then it's up against the clock. So try and time it as best as you can. Frustrating, but also addictive. And now the 1000th game we reviewed on the channel. It's a 3D polygon vector game called Castle Master. Yes, this is number 1000. 1000. We've made it. Well done everyone that's watched all the videos there. But essentially, you must rescue the prince or princess, depending on which one you choose. It moves very, very slow, but the Spectrum is doing a heck of a lot of stuff here. And I would have loved this back in the day despite its ridiculously slow movingness. It's a harder challenge than the Commodore Amiga, I believe, but a great, great game, Castle Master. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. The videos will keep coming. We've got up to 1000 ZX Spectrum games and I'm really, really pleased that's happened. It's not always been easy running the channel, so thank you for your huge support there. If you're a member of the channel, thank you as well. If you want to be a member, click on that join button, help it continue. And here's to the next 1000 ZX Spectrum reviews. We'll keep stress busting and give it big style-y. So thanks again. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.